All right. So I am with Michelle Scolaro. Thank you so much for joining me here today. Looking forward to learning about you, your retreats, your practice, and essentially everything that you're doing. So, Michelle, start off, just tell everybody about yourself.
Okay. What should I tell you about me? My name is Michelle Scalero. I'm a licensed mental health counselor. Um, I have my own private practice. It's a virtual therapy practice called Created Life Consulting. And I started that fairly recently. I've been a therapist for over 20 years, but was always in sort of corporate roles, doing more operations kinds of work. And started out in clinical roles, but quickly rose up the ladder. And the higher up you get in an organization, the further away you get from actually
Yeah,
being with people,
right.
which is one of the reasons why I then pivoted later in my career to now doing more one-on-one work in my private practice. And I love it and that's one of the reasons why now I also lead retreats. I love travel. I like working virtually because it gives me the opportunity to work from anywhere and travel. And now I've added being, leading in-person retreats as part of my practice to kind of marry my two loves, which is travel and helping people cause transformation for themselves and being with people.
What
Yeah.
do you find about that in-person container retreat experience that really helps you help your clients create that transformation?
There's something about being um, outside of your normal environment that creates a kind of synergy that causes transformation at a much faster rate because you show up in this new place, and my retreats are in like tropical kind of paradise sorts
Yeah.
of places, right? And I guess it's whatever, if you're into mountains or beach or anywhere in between. Um, but it's somatically something happens where now you can disconnect from the status quo or the normal way of operating and sort of like quiet all of the noise
Mhm.
of daily life that allows you to get in this mode of like, okay, this is different, and so now you're looking at things different and thinking of things differently. And for me, that's part of what makes it, a more of an intensive because, you're in a new environment, and so it just, triggers that it resets your brain, I think, to a certain extent, to be able to learn
Yeah.
something different. Yeah.
So describe for me what is kind of your ideal client? Who comes to your retreats?
Um,
What are they feeling? What kind of problems are they trying to solve?
Mostly, and this came from just my work with my individual clients. A lot of high achieving women who are sort of like juggling it all. And I know this is a lot of women in leadership roles, women in high pressure industries who also maybe trying to start families or already have families. And as women, I think there's so much pressure to like have it all, do it all, be it all. And it's really easy to get caught up in a um, rhythm that really leads pretty quickly to burnout. And it's not necessarily something we recognize because a lot of us are conditioned, and I'm saying us because I've been in the space, right? I've been there. I've suffered from burnout and had to recover from it. And like, we think, well, this is just how it is that, you're supposed to be tired. It's like the cost of success, right? Not realizing that it really comes from some, what I call inherited conversations or mindsets about self-care and, self-care being selfish, or, you're supposed to take care of everybody else first before you fill your own cup. And it's actually like backward thinking, right? So it started out with this idea of like self-care is not a luxury, it's a necessity. But we intellectually, like most people would agree, oh yeah, you gotta like take care of yourself. Otherwise, how can you show up for other people? That's why when you take a plane and they tell you, if the oxygen mask drops, you got to put your own on first before you help someone that's with you. And it makes sense, but we don't actually live like that,
Mm.
right? We're like reticent to like put our own mask on first because we're afraid of judgment or like it just doesn't feel right.
Right,
And that's where, you kind of have to clear the decks and like really do some shifting of your mindset about what the heck is self-care and why is it important and what does it really mean? And especially for women who are in, very ambitious and purpose driven and in leadership roles, sometimes like, we'll just take a few days off or go get a massage. It does not cut it.
right,
That's not really self-care.
right.
Yeah.
So describe what happens on your retreats that kind of helps with this transformation. I know you kind of describe it as a re-entry versus an escape. I mean, what is
Yeah, or it's like a return. It's not about like we'll get away for a while so that you feel better for that moment and then, you go back to the same old. Like transformation is really about a state change,
Mhm.
right? It is a
Right,
shift.
right,
So it's actually designed to or intended to have you be able to return to your life and be able to operate in a way and live in a way where you don't need to escape it. You're creating a life that's actually, works for you because you can thrive in it
right.
because now you have the tools, the mindset, and the ability to do the things that you need to do in order for it to be sustainable, in order to fill your own cup first, so that you can really show up for yourself in your life and for the people in your life authentically and fully,
Mm.
not just like what's left over after you've taken care of everything else.
Yeah, it must be extremely rewarding to see people come into your retreat or your practice or what have you, and see how they go away. So
Yeah.
they come into your retreat, go through this process, and then seeing how they feel afterwards. That
hmm
must be extremely rewarding.
It is. And it's, a lot sometimes people get results that you didn't expect.
Hmm.
Sometimes they do. It's, my style of practice is I use what's there from my clients that they want to have a breakthrough in or achieve. So one thing that's unique is, I have a retreat curriculum, right? I have a program that I've pre-designed, but then the cohort of women in front of me, and soon it'll be men and women because my next retreat is going to be a couples
Mhm.
retreat. It's whatever they're bringing from their life. Like they're
Right.
bringing themselves and their lives into the retreat and like putting it in my hands. First of all, like what a honor and privilege that is. And I interview each of them to find out, well, what are you dealing with? What do you want to get out of this? Why are you here? What are you here for? So that I can make sure that that gets delivered. Because
Yeah.
sometimes it's not, well, I want to just like relax and have, like, yes, that's nice. My first retreat was like, all about self care. But, sometimes it's, I want to figure out what's next for me in life.
Mhm.
I'm at I want to learn how to love myself. That's another common results that people get from my retreats. Like I really got present to like being able to love myself
Mhm.
the way that I am and know that I am the author of my life and can have the life that I want.
Mhm.
And yeah, so I'm just thinking of you've got me kind of thinking of some of my previous attendees and some of the things I said, but yeah, it's so rewarding when they're
Oh,
like, I'm so glad I did this. Life is different now for me.
yeah, and I
They
like
see a
how
new path for themselves.
you talk about breakthroughs in weeks versus years. So
Yeah.
what causes that? Can you tell us a little bit about the secret sauce?
Um, well, the secrets, I mean, it's me. It is an intuitive kind of thing. So, actually, so obviously, I'm trained as a therapist, right? So I have the schooling and the experience doing that. But then, in my early 40s, I began to do my own transformational journey, right? So I was trained and developed at an organization that does transformational programming. I became a coach and event leader for them, and that's where, something cracked open for me in terms of like, wow, I could see how powerful therapy could be when it's rooted in presence and taking aligned action and really belief in the client's highest self. So, you know, I went from being, and this is why I didn't typically do therapy per se. I did other things in that space in my career because I wasn't seeing results with my clients. You'd meet with people week after week, and I do everything the way you were supposed to according to whatever therapy modality I was practicing at the time. But um, what I saw was like I didn't have to wait now for like permission. I could actually discover and lean into my own gifts
Mhm.
and my own superpower, I'll say, um, and provide therapy, right, in a way that actually felt like me and not like I was following some script.
Right,
Um, and now I can offer this different blend of therapy and coaching and intuitive insight that helps, these high achieving, purpose driven women who I mostly work with now, but I also work with men
right,
break free from, burnout, imposter syndrome, relationship issues, anxiety, the whole gamut of it, and just really return to themselves and their truth. And whether it's through the one-on-one sessions, or any intimate group programs I might do, or the retreats, I create spaces where people can show up fully human, like with all their flaws and their, spaces where they are seen and heard and challenged and just deeply supported, not just to feel better, right? And not to become, uh, better or to be fixed. Because most of the time, people feel broken. They come to therapy thinking there's something wrong with me. And for the most part, there's nothing wrong with you. You're just dealing with the same things that most of us are dealing with. It's called the human condition,
right, right,
right? We're
right.
all in this condition.
Yeah,
And, they can become better aligned with who they really are. And I think once you get in touch with like being able to really know yourself and experience yourself as whole and complete and perfect, just the way you are,
right.
like so much of that other stuff, the anxiety, the overwhelm, the self doubt, the self deprecation that just disappears.
Yeah, mm,
And I don't want people to just cope, right? Now, I provide tools to people through cognitive behavioral therapy and other modalities to help them deal with like the symptoms they're dealing with, the anxiety attacks and things like that to cope. But then I want them to reconnect to their presence, their agency, to their inner wisdom. And that's what really lights me up.
yeah,
And that's what has them have it be a lasting breakthrough. It's not just symptom relief. It is a transformation.
right, right.
And
Fantastic.
it's not like a once and done thing either, by the way.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah.
I'm still, I'm not like I don't have anything handled. I still deal with the stuff that I've always had to deal with
Right,
every day, but like through practice, it just gets easier and easier. And I tell a lot of my clients, like the only difference between you and me and like, you think that I've got this everything all together is I just got more practice doing these things than you do.
Right. So when they leave and they, the retreat or the practice, they're leaving with some skills, some practices that they can do to better
Hmm.
to maintain some of that. Is that correct?
Yes. And I actually, for people who like to have like something tangible and practical, I actually create like a workbook
Mhm.
for them to like come up with a plan. It's called the Conscious Evolution Workbook, right? And so that they have something like that they can take home and like use as a resource. And then I also provide ongoing support. So we have a bi-monthly or twice monthly Zoom meetings with
Mm.
the cohort for
Right.
each retreat to kind of strengthen and develop what it is that they're striving for, working through.
Right.
And sometimes it's just they like to stay connected because here they've shared this experience, have gotten really close and want to like maintain that
Mhm.
community and that connection because it is supportive. And sometimes it's like they are dealing with something now that they're back, right? And life is happening the way it was before, and you can forget pretty quickly
Yeah.
that the stuff that you learned when you get faced with it. So it's about like reinforcing it, and giving them that support, and so that they can keep the momentum going long
Right.
after the retreat.
Right. Was there anything else that you would like people to know about you, about your practice, about the retreats? I think we've covered a lot in a short period of time here.
Actually, good question. I don't know.
Well, I
There's
think
nothing I can think of off the top of my head. I mean, you know, I love retreats. I think, and you and I have had these conversations, like the power available out of, providing transformation in that form and in that way. And it doesn't always have to be retreats. Obviously, it's, what I do is transformative for my clients when we do one-on-one work.
right,
But I think a lot of people have maybe misconceptions about like retreats and what they are, what they could be. Um, they might just see it as like a, a nice getaway, or I think maybe there's and I don't know, there could be a whole gamut because there's certainly some people that think like, oh, if I go to retreat, all my problems will be fixed. Right. But there still is an element of like you've got to do the heavy lifting
mm,
there, right? It's not like you show up in this space and suddenly, it's gonna like through osmosis, you're gonna like get transformation. It's, you've got to be, I think, willing there for that and willing to, participate, um, like and be up on edge and hungry for it, like kind of pull it to you
right,
is
right.
another way that I'll put it.
It's
Because
very
yeah,
essential that you have a great guide who helps you through the process. That you're in a safe environment, a little outside your comfort zone, but safe.
right.
Completely separate, and really able to focus that week on really getting to the inner core of
Hmm.
what's challenging them, right? And,
Yeah,
being able to really develop that understanding um, through the process that you bring them through. That's beautiful.
yeah, yeah. And it is, it's amazing how quickly at least for me, like you can provide that sense of safety for people to be able to like open up about things
Mhm.
within days versus, again, in my experience as a therapist, sometimes it takes a few sessions to like really start to get going. So
Right.
I guess relatively speaking, it's a pretty short period of time. And like here you are
That's
pouring
very.
your heart out to a group of strangers sometimes, right? And that's the other beautiful thing about it too is, you don't necessarily have to do that if you're someone who doesn't feel comfortable or safe enough to really share yourself. You're still going to get um, the benefit of listening to the coaching that I will do with other participants and my interactions with other people, because you can always, and we all have this, common human experience. So very often a participant, because, for the most part, it's pretty homogeneous, a group, right? Like we're all there for similar reasons and probably have some similar experience, and it might not be exactly the same, but you can kind of see yourself in what somebody else is sharing,
Right.
right?
Right.
And then, thus get the benefit of seeing their transformation through, the interactions
Yeah, it's a
and the
very
intuitive
a
coaching
very
that I do.
social, co-creative experience. And I think
Yes.
right now, especially, people are looking for that connection.
Hmm.
And because people do feel isolated, um, and like I said, they might be going through some things, but you bring them into an environment where they're detached, safe, guided by your expertise, and obviously you have a special gift that you're providing them in the way that you're helping them through this transformation. So
Hmm.
it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Eventually, I would love to do it more often and have that be my sole sole
Yeah,
offering and as part of my career or my practice. But yeah.
cool. Great. Well, thank you so much. This has been great. How do people get in touch with you?
So they can get in touch with me through my private practice. So it's createdlife.llc is my web URL.
Mhm.
Um, if they're interested in my retreat offerings, the website for that is thriveinparadise.com.
Okay.
And yeah, right now we're preparing for the next retreat, which will be in February, and that will be a co-ed couples experience. To have couples be able, and it's for individuals too, because I don't want to exclude anybody. When I do couples work, very often will work with one individual because you don't necessarily have to have your partner in the room to deal with what you need to deal with individually. And a lot of times issues between couples start with, the stuff you're dealing with for yourself that,
Sure.
is difficult to manage, and then it bleeds into impacting the relationship. Um, so yeah, that will be in February. And yeah,
Great. Well, all the details will be in this article as well. People will be able to find out, where to get a hold of you.
yep,
And like I said,
yeah,
thank you so much. This has been
you're
a
welcome.
pleasure, and look forward to having more people get to know you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. So do I.
Thank you.